Everything in our life feels urgent. You go to urgent care, it says hiring urgently. You'll get an email and it'll say urgent. Read this, immediate. That is what the world tells us to look for. There is no time to take a moment and to be still. We are rushed from event to event, and it becomes the way that we live our lives. This urgency feeds into our everyday lives, and we forget what it means to be still and know that He is God. Hi, welcome back to another episode of What the L. I am your host, Elle Kramer, and today we are talking about the necessity of slowing down, because every single time we speed up is deception from the devil. I want to start off by reading Isaiah 30, verse 15. By waiting and by calm you shall be saved. Be quiet and in trust your strength lies. And then I also want to read, yet the Lord is waiting to show you favor, and he rises to pity you. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all of those who wait for him. By waiting and by calm you shall be saved. By waiting and by being calm. The opposite of waiting is haste, rush, quick, urgent. Something that we are robbed of in life is being still and knowing that he is God. The devil wants to take away the privilege of being still and trusting in God. And this is an area of my life that I have never, ever had an easiness in. To be still, to rest, to sit there and relax and put my trust in God and fully surrender what I have going on in my life for what he tells us to do. There's a parable in the Bible. There's a parable, the parable of the sower in Matthew chapter 13. On that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down, saying, a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground where it had little soil. It sprang up at once because the soil was not deep, and when the sun rose, it was scorched and withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear. The verse that stuck with me in this was some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. What this is saying is oftentimes the things that are urgent in our life, the things that we are tasked with doing immediately to try to get done, become our God. They become an idol for us because it feels urgent. We are told that it's urgent, so we get it done. We lock in for that time and we stress ourselves out. We get choked up by the mundane, by the everyday task of life, that we let these things swallow us up whole and let these things become our idols because we can't be still and trust God. We try to our best to surrender, but in moments like this, it almost feels impossible. It's not like you're out here doing evil or being wicked. It's just you get anxious whenever life feels urgent, whenever there's tasks in your life that feel urgent. The urgency, the fight or flight, it takes over and you take over. You take control instead of letting God take control. That's exactly what happened to those thorns, to those seeds. They were swallowed up. And this is what Satan wants to rob us from in our life. He wants to rob us from the stillness. He wants to create a sense of urgency in your life so that you never have time to stop and rest in the presence of the Lord. That is something that I feel like I really struggle with, is just resting, sitting and being still. Because in a world where we are told everything is immediate, everything is urgent, you have to get it done now, in a world of hustle culture, it feels sometimes impossible to be still, especially in the season of Christmas, of Advent. We are packed to the brim with getting presents for people that annoy us sometimes, for we are just trying to stay afloat right now. We get those presents on time that they come in at an urgency, that we get our Christmas tree decorated in time, that everything looks nice, neat, and tidy, and we can tie everything in a bow. And we are urgently trying to get from one appointment to the other. We are trying to rush from one thing to the next. And a season that's supposed to be focused on the birth of Christ becomes dimmed by our own busyness. We are swallowed up within our own busyness that we forget to reflect on the fulfillment of the prophecy of Jesus Christ, of his birthday, of what we should be focusing on, which is putting Christ back in Christmas and resting in his peace and knowing that he is God and we are his people and we are the sheep. A sheep cannot hear the shepherd if there's so much going on. You have to be still and know that he is God. It is the only way to hear his voice. Otherwise, it's just distractions. It's just thorns swallowing us up. With God, he wants us to wait and he wants us to be calm. With God, it's waiting and it's calmness. But with the devil, it's urgent and it's chaos. Which one do you choose? The devil cannot create anything. He can just distort what God created. The devil will have you fulfill your legitimate desire in an illegitimate way. The devil won't try to show himself within the work. He will reveal himself in the work beneath the work. You will be working, but in that work, you will be thinking, what does everyone else think of me? Is this work going to be good enough? It's when you start questioning because you can't focus on his voice. Instead, you're focusing on the voice in your head and the voice of others, not the voice of reason that guides you. But oftentimes I find myself focused on what are they going to say? Is this going to be good enough? What if this work isn't well? What if people don't recognize me for this? What if I'm not good enough? But the Father, counteracts that statement and says, just rest in me. I want to protect you. I want to guide you. I want you to hear me. But until you slow down and be still, you can't hear me. Yes, I can send signs to you, but if you're urgently trying to run past them, then how will you see it? Oftentimes it's in plain sight, but we're going so quick that we go past it. And that's what the devil wants. He wants us to move fast so we don't see where God is moving in our lives. He wants everything to be urgent so that you feel a sense of anxiety, a sense of urgency to run away, not run toward the Father, but to run away. The most dangerous seed, in my opinion, is the seed that is swallowed up by thorns, because this seed, they're not out there committing murder or doing evil things. They're good people, but they are swallowed up by the urgency, and they can't just sit there and be still and let the joy of the Lord be their strength, because they're so focused on the urgency and the chaos that they forget to be patient in the calm and the wait, and wait for him to show up. For thus said the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, by waiting and by calm you shall be saved. Be quiet and entrust your strength lies. You are strong whenever you wait on him. Wait today. Wait on him. It sounds almost impossible in a world full of urgency, but he is urgently waiting for you so he can be your calm in the chaos. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of What the L. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to drop a like, leave a comment. Follow me on all my socials. It really helps me out. If you have any ideas on what you want talked about, DMs are always open. And with that, you guys, I will see you next time. I love you. Bye.